Okay, in today's lesson, we're going to talk about how to deal with not having experience. So one of the things that people are worried about when they start their own social media marketing agency is, well, maybe how do I convince a customer to trust me with their social media without much experience? So I have a few answers for that. By the way, I'm in La Jolla recording this. And say hi, Mom. Bye. Ferrari back there. So here's the way to think about it. My uncle taught me this a long time ago when he was in sales. He said the first year you're in business, or in his case, he was a car salesman, the first year, just tell everybody the truth that you're brand new, but you want to position it differently. So he told me this. He said, Tai, what you do is you tell your customers, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm new to this, but because of that, I'm going to give you extra attention. I'm not bogged down with past clients, and you're going to get my full attention and focus. And if they really hear that in your voice and really can tell you're telling the truth, that appeals to a lot of people. Now, you will lose a few people that way, but that's part of the game. Whether you're experienced or inexperienced, you're not going to close 100% of people who you approach. So by being honest, and then positioning it, so facing your fear and just positioning your whole business around it, you will overcome that objection a lot of the time. Now, one other thing, crossing the street here, remember, you're not going to be totally inexperienced. So this number two way to overcome being new, in addition to what I just told you, is you basically can talk about the certification you got through this program and how you learned from one of the top social media people. And that's called authority bias, and association bias. So when you're talking to people, you can create authority for yourself by associating with other people, in this case, with me and my program. So you're gonna be able to, and you see that a lot, like when you go to a store to buy shoes, some Nikes, the person wearing the little Foot Locker, shoe store uniform, you don't ask whether they have much experience, because they have some authority just simply by virtue of being part of that bigger brand. So make sure you bring up and tell some of the story and talk about how you were trained and certified by somebody who is in the top 3 in the world at using social media in their business to create revenue. So, the Kardashians are number 1, and I'm not sure, but I'm certainly in the top 2 or 3. You can also tell them that the techniques that you're using for them were pioneered with over $10 to $20 million spent on experimenting with different social media techniques. So by doing that, that's a huge advantage. The last thing I would tell them is just say, listen, social media is so new, there are no real experts at it. Even the person who tells you they're an expert at it has probably only been doing it for 1 or 2 years. So mentally, you can have some confidence. You can have some confidence knowing it's such a fresh market. It's such a new business model that everybody's basically new at this. So it's not going to be nearly as difficult as you think to overcome those objections. So the next thing that, or I should say one more thing, remember this. When you're approaching customers, nobody has a 100% ratio. There's not one person in the history of business that closes 100% of people they talk to. You always have drop-off. Some people will think, some people won't like your hair color. Some people won't like your tone of voice. Some people won't like your the general gist of what you're doing. So don't feel like, that if people drop off, even when you're using these techniques, that you're doing something wrong. A good closing rate is anywhere from 10 to 30%. That's what we're going to shoot for, okay? 10 to 30%. So I think that if you come to, in summary, if you come to it with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of energy, you're going to overcome most of the objections that you would get. And the people that drop off are people who are going to drop off anyway. They're going to drop off anyway. Okay? So leave a comment below. Just kind of write out what you would tell people. Just 2-3 sentences on what you would say if somebody brings up, you know, the objection that, or you're afraid of the objection of somebody being new.